Do you see any monetization or income opportunities Christian artists are largely unaware of or like missing out on?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is
All right, guys. Well, today we're talking about all things marketing, digital strategy, content creation, social media, etc., etc. And I'm so excited to be hanging out with my friend Matt Munt. And Matt's worked with pretty much every major radio platform, major label out there, and is going to share some of that gold with us today. So Matt still works in Christian music marketing, but now also offers his genius to help individuals like you, nonprofits, media ministries, leaders of countries reach a faith-based audience with digital strategy, digital ads, and content ideation. Matt, thanks for being with us today, man.
thanks, man. I need to have a big white beard based on that description.
I know, dude. You're basically Gandalf,
Yeah, the Gandalf of Christian radio,
but you
Christian
look like you're
music.
34 for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that last part about helping with digital strategies and digital ads and content
Yeah.
ideation, really quickly, that starts to feel really overwhelming for pretty much everyone listening today.
It's overwhelming for me because it's always changing, which is kind of I have a love-hate relationship with all things digital because I get bored easily, but then like there's a certain point where you're like, do I want to keep on learning the new algorithms and the latest new social media channel? And thankfully I still have it in me. I still have the energy and I enjoy doing it, but I've also gotten better at refining when to jump on some, whether it's a trend or a technology or platform and when not to, and when to just kind of wait and see, is this going to be around in a year or two?
Dude, see, that's so disarming because I think to hear someone like you say that you're climbing up that same mountain, I feel like we could all just take a deep breath and just say like, okay, I'm not the only one. Because I feel like everybody I talk to, even, whether they're signed artists, whether they're independent artists just getting started or trying to build something, what I call like solopreneur artists who are
Yeah.
just, they're the whole team, the CEO of their own label or whatever. I feel like everyone feels exhausted
Yeah.
trying to pump out that much content, quote unquote, or they feel the pressure to have to do it a certain way. And I'm hoping that we can give people some helpful things today to demystify some of that and give them some empowerment.
Yeah, and I'd love to share. So a couple months ago, I met this YouTuber named Ruslan, really big Christian YouTuber, and he spoke here at a church locally in Nashville.
Mm.
And this quote that he said stuck with me, and it applies to this conversation. And he said, as a Christian content creator, which Christian musicians are that, we get to control the inputs. So, and even in the digital marketing space, like I get to control, what am I learning and my effort and making sure I'm staying up on the latest tips, tricks, and trends. But at the end of the day, if I'm truly calling myself a Christian content creator, a Christian digital marketer, I get to also let God control the outputs. So we get to control the inputs and then God controls the outputs. So we do our due diligence. We put in the time, we put in the effort, but then we also, with an open hand, give it to God and go, all right, take this song and do what you want with it. Take this digital marketing campaign and do what you want with it. So, and that's kind of a breath of fresh air when, in hustle culture, it's all about what you do and how much, are you the first one to jump on the latest viral trend or not? It's kind of refreshing to go, no, remind myself that God also gets to be a part of this.
Dude, okay, so we're going to come back to this later, but real quick, since you mentioned that, I just want to point out that what you just said could easily be taken as a trite kind of Christian-y religious thing. And that's one of the things I want to do with this podcast in general is just to point out the elephant in the room that, like, guys, we're in what can be perceived as one of the fakest communities in that everybody's going to say the thing when they think everyone's watching. They're going to say the thing that sounds spiritual, right? But since I know you, I know that what you just said is something that you actually live by and walk and believe. And at the end of the day, that's what we all have to do. If we're going to do this Christian music thing, the Christian in Christian music means that we are actually following the man from Galilee, the Messiah. And it also means that we are believing him when he said, without me, you can do nothing. And we're also believing him when he said, hey, you have to abide in me, which, not to get super sermony, but I did a deep dive into that in the original manuscripts, and literally it means to live in him or abide in him or to dwell in him like a property or a piece of land or a country.
Wow.
To make your dwelling, to make your home in Christ. And I just want to say, guys, like, just, we all know this, we've said it from stage 1,000 times, whatever, but we draw our power to do what we do from the one that we serve, right? And so I love that you said we control the inputs, but God controls the outputs. Otherwise, dude, it's like we're bench pressing the world. We're
Yeah.
alone,
And I
you
think
know?
it's good that we wrestle with this tension. Like this isn't like I just said that nice quote and all right, I got this alignment all figured out of how much effort does Matt put in and how much does God do. Like I'm going to continue. I hope I continually wrestle with that, because it's not just a quick, easy answer. Like there is going to be times where I'm going to maybe be burning the midnight oil and going, all right, God, do you really want me up this late doing this? Or do I need to like turn it over to you? Or on the flip side, you can also get lazy and go, all right, I'm just going to put out subpar work, but God's going to bless it. And so there's that tension that will forever be within the Christian music creation world. If you're going to do Christian content, like I'm a big fan of YouTube as a platform right now. But yeah, living with that tension, I think, is important to do.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, how did you get started in the music industry? What's a
Yeah.
little bit of your origin story? And
Mhm.
then we'll get into some of the specifics.
Yeah, so it goes all the way back to like the early 90s. I was the Christian music kid who went to the family Christian bookstore, the Christian supply stores on Tuesday when the albums came out. I have like a distinct memory of having my mom drive me to the family Christian bookstore on a Tuesday when DC Talk's Supernatural album came out. And I walk in and I'm like, I'm here to buy the new DC Talk CD. And they're like, yeah, we don't have that. I go check the back room. And sure enough, they go back. They're like, oh, we got the shipment in. And so, got the posters, put them up in the youth room. I loved video editing. So I, learned video editing like early on. Thankfully, my high school had a program where I was able to learn how to edit video in like 1997, 98. And that kind of really opened the doors, honestly. Like by having that skill set of editing video, I was able to go intern and work for the local Christian radio station in Seattle. And then through that, anytime an artist would come in, I gravitated towards the record label people. Like I played trumpet in high school, but that's like the extent of my musical ability, And so I was always in youth group. I like to be behind the scenes. I would make the video and I'd play it for the youth group. I didn't want to be on stage. I didn't like that limelight. I like to be behind the scenes. And so anyway, record labels would come and bring their artists to our radio station and do morning show interviews and got to know the guys at Tooth and Nail Records. And then that turned into going from working for the Christian radio station in Seattle to working for Tooth and Nail and BEC. And so like Jeremy Camp, Cutlass, KJ52, stuff like that. And so I did that for a few years. Then I came back to the radio station. Then I came out to Nashville, worked for Provident Label Group, the Christian division of Sony. Then I went out, worked for K-Love Radio, and now I'm back out here and I worked for a nonprofit in there, but the whole time the underlying current has been digital, So the early days of making lyric videos on YouTube. YouTube was like this early thing of like, I'm at Tooth and Nail Records and we're going, well, we're taking these Jeremy Camp songs and launching them out to the world. And then other people are taking it and putting, stock footage on YouTube and they're getting tens of millions of views. We've got the music first. Let's make lyric videos. So like early days of lyric videos, iTunes, MySpace. Like I was a MySpace skin expert, learning how to do that. And so I've really gotten to do kind of digital through Christian music. And now, I've kind of take those skills and do it on my own. And so work with different clients today, like Matthew West and his management team, and then an assortment of Christian radio stations around the country and some nonprofits and everything in between. But I've just, naturally been a curious person. And so when, a new platform comes out, I jump on it and I learn it, but with age, I've gotten more wise of, I don't tell my clients, let's go jump on TikTok right away. Like, is your audience there? And what are you going to do there? And just because someone else did it doesn't mean you have to do it. And so having a little bit of discernment and restraint on figuring out, because there's only so many hours in the day. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the high level of my background doing digital within the Christian radio and Christian music industry.
Dude, I love it. You mentioned the Supernatural record. That was totally me, bro, in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Like out in San Diego, where I'm originally from, it was
Mhm.
Berean Christian stores.
Oh
Trying
yeah.
to remember, I think we had a family Christian store there, but dude, same thing. Begging my mom to give me a ride to go check out whatever new record was there, and they had the CD players right there with headphones, and you can
Oh yeah.
try them out,
And then
listen.
the chart. If you like Creed or if you like Eminem, you'll like this. Like that's kind of a rite of passage of like having that experience of Because there's always been this, love hate with mainstream music, and some youth groups are like, go burn it. And, thankfully, I didn't have a youth group that was like, you're evil for listening to that. But it was kind of that underlying in Christian culture. And I've just always been a fan of when Christian music can be up to the par of the world. Like, why do we need to compare ourselves to that? Why can't we kind of set the tone, set the pace of what creativity is?
Absolutely. And records like the one you mentioned was doing that. I mean, I
Totally.
can
Oh
hear right
yeah.
now some of the songs going through my head from that record.
Hmm.
And recently I showed it to my kids who I think my firstborn was born 10 years after that
Yeah.
album dropped or something close to that. Yeah, she was '07, so close to 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was playing that one. Actually, I might have been playing Jesus Freak
Mhm.
in the car on a drive up to Nashville, so like 25 minutes away. It was dead silent the whole time. They
Yeah.
were they were listening to it.
Yeah.
And then on the drive back, we listened to the rest. And then when we got into our driveway, my daughter's like, why isn't there more music like that?
You know
So it's
what's
funny.
this is fascinating. So we're recording this January 2026, so just fresh off of Christmas. And so I've got a son, he's 10, and my daughter's 15. And for Christmas this year, they're both of their Christmas gift requests were my daughter wanted a CD player. She wanted to get a CD player to be able to listen to CDs, and my son wanted a record player. I haven't like encouraged that at all. I mean, we don't even have that in the home. Obviously, I know what it is, and but I'm on Spotify. Like that's how I listen to music, and so it's just interesting. Like this next generation, and this is a totally different topic and podcast, but it is refreshing to me that I think the next generation is kind of going. You know what? Some of this maybe it's nostalgic for them, or maybe it's we are just inundated with so much with the digital world that the digital world offers. We want to slow down a little bit, and
That's
so
right.
I hope that's the case.
Man, just last week I was talking with someone about how, actually, this was yesterday. I was talking with someone about how, a year ago we were all talking about how there's 40 million songs being dropped, a year.
Yeah.
I just read somewhere that that's the amount because of Suno now with AI. That's
Yep.
the amount of songs that are dropping every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So the ocean is so vast
Mhm.
that not only is it an issue for listeners, like what do I listen to, but obviously for artists, how is my stuff standing out in that much white noise, right? And then secondly, there's the whole idea of ownership.
Mhm.
Like our kids' generations they never got to experience what it felt like to own something, to buy it, to
Yeah.
go to the record store, buy the CD or cassette or
Mhm.
vinyl, take it home, tear off the wrapper, and
Mhm.
then open that, like the smell of the paper and the ink. I still remember that. It's so
Yep.
nostalgic to me. And to open it up and then read all those detailed liner notes, like
Yep.
so and so played keys, so and so played bass. It was recorded and engineered by this guy in
Mhm.
Franklin, Tennessee. I mean, that's how I first found out where
Yeah.
Franklin, Tennessee was at like
The
9 years
hub.
old.
Yeah. Well, and there's a cost to it, as a cost for time. It was a cost with your money. You're dropping $10 to $20 for this. Just the process. Like there was some hurdles, again, not tough hurdles, but tough hurdles to go and listen to it. And now it's like you can just open up your phone and listen to it on any platform. And yeah, there's something to be said about placing some hurdles in front of you appreciate something more when it takes time and it costs you something. Same thing as like a parent. You don't just give your kids everything you want. You want them to work for it. And when they work for something, they actually care about it more.
Absolutely. Not to mention just savoring something
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It starts to sink in you after a whole bunch of
Mhm.
listens. Not that you can't do that on your iPhone with some AirPods plugged in on your walk or whatever. People
Yeah.
do that obviously all day long, but there's something else about you have to sit there or clean your room while you're listening or something because
Mhm.
you're in proximity to the player. It's like this piece of furniture or whatever
Yeah.
sitting there and you're like listening to it. And it's like, well, I've got these 10 or these 100 things to choose from and
Mhm.
I've heard them all a bunch of times, but I love them for different reasons, and they define a season for me. And
Yeah. I saw this great clip, and we can go on to the next topic after this because I know we're going down rabbit trails, but it was a great clip yesterday. It was Kevin O'Leary from a Shark Tank. He calls himself Mr. Wonderful. He's a billionaire, made tons of money, and he's talking to a really prominent YouTuber, MKBHD, like he's a tech guy, and they're talking about wristwatches. And the YouTuber, who's a 30-something, kind of a millennial, is talking about, yeah, I love my Apple Watch because it's got all these features and it's just feature rich. And Kevin O'Leary, who, again, money's not an object to him, but he's got a $50,000 wristwatch. But when he was explaining why he loves it, it doesn't have all these features where it measures his heart rate and his steps, but he loves that another human spent 10,000 hours at the craft of making, 10,000 hours and then probably 100 hours making his watch, and how much he appreciates the craft that went into it. And we are losing that in the day of AI. Like, I love AI. I'm a digital guy and I try all the stuff, but I think in our core soul, we appreciate when someone sacrificed something to make something, and did it for the pleasure and the joy of just creation.
So here's a question for you. Let's just go ahead and start diving in.
Mhm.
What do you think is the number one opportunity most missed by Christian artists for growing their audience right now?
Yeah. So this is going to be a super boring answer, but it is growing your email list and your text message list. And when you say email list, you're like, wah, wah, boring. But there is nothing more valuable than actually having a direct communication with people who have at one point enjoyed your music. So instead of, and we're going to talk about some social media stuff here. Like, yes, we still need to be doing organic social media, and I love paid social media. But at the end of the day, I tell some of my clients, like, my goal is to kind of work myself out of a job, is to grow your email list so that it's so big and that your core fans are there. And sometimes we forget about that. And at any moment, we know these algorithms are going to change. Well, guess what? An email algorithm doesn't change, and you can move your text message followers, your email followers to new platforms as technology changes, but having that is invaluable. And then as it relates to the music world, if you're a touring musician, making sure that you know the zip code, like, that's going to
Mm,
be, again, anytime I go to an artist website and I see that they have a sign up for an email list or text messaging list, but they're not finding out what city or zip they're in, I reach out to them immediately. Hey, you've got to start collecting. Like, that is so, if you want to tour, you need to know where your people are from.
that's solid. So you said something about text messaging. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, think about text messages and how quick you open them. I think the stat is 98% of text messages are opened, and so it's a different medium than email, but it's really powerful where people are going to open it, and that's how we communicate with our friends and family. And so as a marketer, you got to be real careful not to breach trust, so you can't be blowing them up with just promotional stuff. Like, start thinking about it as, what are you giving them? It's not just a weekly or a monthly text message of, hey, buy this, listen to this, only this. It's also providing some value, and how would you text message a friend? And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of text message marketing right now, just because it's nice to see, like, when you send a message out, it gets received.
Absolutely. So this might be the same or different answer, but just curious, for the musicpreneur
Mhm.
out there, do you see any monetization or income opportunities Christian artists are largely unaware of or like missing out on?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is I love following what Connor Price and Nick D are doing in the music space. They are, you could almost argue they're a YouTube first. Like, they create the music and then they make a very engaging music video. And I guarantee you they're making more money on YouTube than they are from their Spotify or Apple streams. And so I had a few, like, digital marketing friends and then music industry friends around a fire pit about 6 months ago, and we were talking about this, and, like, as a musician, what can we be learning from it's called the creator economy, but the social media influencers of the day. They know how to get attention, and you have an advantage when you've got a great song. Like that, people are drawn to music, the soul loves music, but you need to start to figure out, how does that visually cut through all the other noise on these platforms like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. But YouTube, admit, like, I'm a fanboy of YouTube. I think it's an incredible platform. It's the most ubiquitous platform out there right now. People are on YouTube on their phone, on their computer, on their iPad, and on their TV. More people watch YouTube on their TV than Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or even cable TV, live TV. And so I think it's just a huge opportunity for musicians to come up with a YouTube plan, and YouTube pays. I mean, the beautiful thing about it too is they pay good rates. So
Amazing. So yeah, let's go to YouTube land for a second. What are some practical ways artists can be using it? I mean, you mentioned Connor Price. I also
mhm,
have been keeping an eye on him. I love what those guys are
yeah,
doing. Ran into him at the coffee shop the other day and just was like,
nice.
fist bump, dude. Thanks so much for what you're doing. I love it. And what's crazy is he's a believer. Him and his wife work together.
Yeah.
His wife was actually with him and she's managing him. They work together, but um, Christian artist that isn't focused on the Christian audience and doesn't want to be. He just wants to be a light. And that's another thing. It's kind of this tongue in cheek thing. You see a title called Christian Music Maker and you assume we're here to talk about K Love and whatever. But
Mhm.
it's really just Christians who make
Yeah.
music. I don't really care what your audience is. But in terms of YouTube, so if someone's listening and they think of YouTube as like, oh yeah, wasn't that a thing years ago? That's where I go to like figure out how to fix my washing machine or something. How can they actually start leveraging that to grow an audience? And like you said, maybe even make more money than your Spotify pays.
Yeah, I mean, what's wild about Connor Price, he did his first tour, I believe, last year in 2025. He'd been making money just on YouTube and his streaming, and he's got two young kids. He's got a young family. Same with he does collaborations with this artist Nick D, and I don't think Nick D's ever toured. And so, I mean, that's proof that, I gotta have great music, but also playing by the rules of YouTube. And so some of the rules of YouTube are you need a good thumbnail. Like YouTube is a platform, it's just like Netflix. When you open it up on your TV specifically, or I mean any platform, your content could be in front of Dude Perfect and Mr. Beast. So now what's going to get someone to click on your video, whether it's a music video, or you can even think of categories outside of the music side, like if you're doing like this, we're doing a podcast, or you want to do a daily vlog or a monthly vlog, but you got to think, all right, I'm going up against all these other content creators. What's going to get people's attention? One, to click on your video. So title and thumbnail those are the non-starters. If you don't have a good title or thumbnail, no one's even going to watch your content. And then it's once you get into it, what's going to be the first few seconds? What's going to get people to stick around to watch another few seconds? Because the average attention span is less than a goldfish this day and age. We're like 5 to 7 seconds. So that's where I said, like, YouTube is its own little universe, but it's incredibly powerful. I was watching a video last night with the CEO of YouTube, and in the past 3 years, YouTube has paid out over $70 billion to creators. So it's an economy of its own. But if you're going to do it, you can't just go, well, I made this great song and I'm just going to put the album cover on YouTube. Like, no, come up with a thumbnail that's going to get people to want to watch it, and a title that's going to compel someone to click on it.
That's super good. I don't know, maybe this keeps us in YouTube, maybe not. That's okay. How do you help artists and labels focus their digital strategy?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to help them focus because I'm pretty focused on what I know I like to do. And so some of the core things that I come to the table with are I want to get people from your Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, all your social media channels, and even YouTube, honestly, get them into your email, into your text messaging list. I've done my days of organic social media where you're going to do the lip sync video. We got to churn out. And I just kind of wanted to hop off of that hamster wheel just because that's not my passion anymore. And I like coming up with strategies of how are we going to entice someone, give someone a legit reason to go from that social media post that they saw into your email list, into your text messaging list, because I just know that there's great value in that.
That's beautiful. I mean, I have these random people all the time, and some of my coaching clients, different people asking me, how do I go full time in
Yeah.
music? I'm not signed to a label. I don't think I ever will be. How do I do this full
Mhm.
time? How do I make six figures? And I feel like what you just laid out there might be this thing that's easy to skip over and just be like, yeah. I've
Yeah.
heard, Don Miller talk about, own your email list or whatever.
Yeah.
But what you just said, done over time patiently,
Oh, totally.
actually compounds if you're doing it the way you're saying, right? Like adding
Well,
value to your
yeah.
list.
And 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there was a book that came out called A Thousand True Fans. And it wasn't written specifically to the music industry, but it was really for a future digital creator economy. And the idea is if you got 1,000 true fans who will buy everything that you put out. So if you've got a book, merch, tour, like if you got 1,000 people who are doing that, and if let's say they spend an aggregate of $100 over the year, like that's a good thing. And again, it's a snowball and it continues. And so that's the one thing I remind my clients always is, the beautiful thing about digital that I love is this is not Matt saying, I think we should do this. This is Matt looking at the analytics and going, okay, so you've posted to social media over the past year. What worked? Like we can literally go and see what post on any platform got the most comments, the most likes, the most shares, and go, you know what? Let's do more of that. And then for me, for my strategy, I'm able to go, okay, now I know what works with your audience. Now let's put some ad money behind it and let's go find more people
Mm,
like that.
that's good. I want to talk about ads in a second, but first, since you just brought up social media in
Yeah.
general, what should every artist stop doing immediately? You talked about getting off the hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
should they stop doing? And then maybe after that, I'd love to hear maybe one thing you think they can start doing if they haven't
Yeah.
already.
I mean, one, stop doing what you just feel icky about. Like if you just don't, if that's not who you are, stop and start doing what you're passionate about. And it doesn't, again, if you start treating yourself more like an influencer who has something to say about stuff, will pick stuff that you care about, you know? So you can do something tangential to the music that still will support the music and
Hmm.
share your voice doing that. This is one thing that I'm really passionate about, as if we're going to say we're doing this for kingdom purposes and Christian content, like, yes, I want to learn the algorithm. I want to know what's working, but I also know that now you get in this mindset of just trying to hack the user on the other end, trying to do stuff that's going to get their attention.
Mm.
What are the things that, instead of going wide and broad, what can you do to go deeper? Like, what are the things that you can post that, yeah, you know what? The TikTok algorithm is probably not going to pick this up. But if your core audience does get it, they're going to go deeper with you. They're going to go deeper in their faith. And
Mm.
so that's something that I'm convicted about is
Yeah.
we're all about big numbers and vanity numbers, but what are the things that we want to do that maybe will even ruin the algorithm, but we really need to say it. We really need to talk about this. So, yeah.
Anything you're saying that people should start doing if they're not, and this goes for artists that are, you know, full time and signed, or artists that are just trying to
Mhm.
get something going here.
I think the beautiful thing is you can try testing other things. So we talk about stopping the things that you don't want to do. Well, I know there's some artists who are like, I just hate social media in general. Is there ways to do it that it doesn't feel like social media? You know,
Right.
is it a podcast? Is it a conversation? Is it just, you in your backyard starting fire pit, like, and just try it. And if you're sharing genuinely in different, you have an interesting life, whether you're in the studio or whatever you're doing, some of the biggest social media things blow up because people are just doing something that is like, oh, this sounds fun. I mean, there's
Mm.
I saw a video last night. There's literally a guy right now. He is kicking a rock every single day on social media until it turns into a perfectly round sphere. And people, I mean, again, this goes to like, are you taking people deep? No, like, but it just shows like if you niche down, like, there's a term in the digital marketing world that people say there's riches in the niches, So don't be vanilla. And how can you niche down? What makes you different than the other 10 artists who are launching a song this week? And focus on that. And usually you're also going to be passionate about it, So if you really like cooking, well, showcase you doing a little bit of cooking, or you like coffee culture. Again, that can't be your only content. Like, don't steer totally. I mean, maybe you do want to steer totally and be the coffee culture YouTuber, podcaster, Instagram influencer, but you can pepper that in. I think we live in a day and age where you can just try stuff and see if it works, see if it resonates with your audience.
What I love about what I think I'm hearing you say is it takes the competition out of it. Instead of trying to be every other artist, especially in
Mhm.
something like Christian music, where,
Oh yeah.
even just from a theological perspective, we have built in and baked into the cake that there's diversity and there's beauty in the kind of the mosaic of the body of Christ.
Mhm.
And so everybody brings something unique. I
Yeah.
feel like probably in the mainstream world, that seems like it's more obvious or more accepted or something.
Yeah.
Everyone's just doing what they're good at. But what I love about what I just heard you say is, instead of being like, oh, these artists or this major big artist is doing this, I need to just copy that because
Mhm.
that's working. You're saying tap into your passion
Yeah.
and start talking about it,
Yeah.
start showing it. I love that. Okay, I'd love your take on this, man. Instagram and TikTok. Should artists pick one, or are both crucial, or whatever? I'd just love to hear you talk about that.
Man, I don't know if either one is crucial. Like, I think it's crucial that you do something that you can be consistent with and keep on doing,
Mm.
Best practices are create content. The Instagram audience is different than the TikTok. Don't put the same video on both. Like, and we can get into the nitty gritty of why that doesn't work. But I think there's different audiences there, of course. And so if you got an older audience, does it make sense to be on TikTok? Maybe not. But maybe something that you maybe from a missional standpoint, maybe you do want to reach that audience on TikTok. Like, let's redeem. There's a lot of junk on that platform. Like, can we kind of infiltrate it with some good positive stuff? And so,
Mm.
yeah, I think it's you don't know until you try, and like obviously TikTok is big enough, and we've seen in plenty of stories of artists blowing up on TikTok, and so it's worth trying. But it goes back to stay true to who you are, and don't all of a sudden be doing in the Christian radio world. It always kind of is odd to me when you've got a 50-year-old, 60-year-old radio DJ who's doing the latest TikTok dance trend. And I go, well, how did that help you? Like, yeah, maybe you got a few more likes and views, and that's like a good dopamine hit as a creator. Oh, wow. But did that really connect people to what you're trying to do? Did they turn into a radio listener? Did they actually follow you? And so, Yeah, I'm really skeptical about following trends, and
Mm.
everybody wants to try and create a trend. And honestly, yeah, go for it. But most of the trends, people just kind of dumb luck fall into it.
Oh, man. So along the same lines, people still ask me this. Is Facebook still viable for artists?
Yeah, I mean, especially viable if you have an audience already there. I don't know a ton about this, but I know Facebook is starting to pay out. So we talked about YouTube at the beginning and how much money they're paying out, and creators are rushing over to that platform because they like getting paid for the content they create. So now Meta and Instagram and Facebook are trying to figure out, wait, we're going to lose our content. We need we need your content on our platform in order for us to sell more ads. And so I've not dove in a ton into it, but I do know that they're making a push to try and to woo content creators to that platform. Now, I have no idea what the tactics and tricks are to be able to do that. I just know I've seen people making money on it. And there's a lot of people on there. I mean, especially an older audience, I mean, the classic CCM Christian artist, like that's your if you're trying to reach the K-Love radio avatar, like yes, then you need to be there. Like that is where they're hanging out.
Earlier, you mentioned ads. So you're an ads expert. It'd be weird to have you on here and not talk about it real quick. Is there a way artists can be leveraging ads? Artists or producers, for that matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is so many different ways to run ads. Like there's kind of like in the marketing terms, top of funnel. Like how do you get new listeners? So a couple years ago, I could target another Christian art. Let's say I want to get Casting Crowns fans to listen to my music or Toby Mac fans. Well, a couple years ago, Meta changed the game. Meta and Google, both of them, they removed all ability to target interest based marketing based on religion, race, and politics. And so that took out all the different like the only artist that I've been able to find that I can target is Switchfoot. Like I can target my ads to Switchfoot, but I can't do like Need to Breathe, which I kind of put them in the same category where they're like the crossover artists. They started in the Christian music, but they had a lot of mainstream success. So you can't target that way, but there's other ways to do it. So there's a thing called lookalike audience. So if you've got an established audience already on Facebook and Instagram, you can create what's called a lookalike. And basically you can say, all right, I want my ads, this song clip, whatever, to go to people who are very similar to the people who already like my page. You can also load your email list in, your text messaging list. And so I use that for like the top of funnel, again, trying to get new awareness to your song. My favorite kind of ads are really that are tied to some more, tangible ROI. So this is running ads to your pre-existing audience with, one, we talked about this already, join my email list, join my text messaging list, because then you can send them a message anytime about your tour, your merch. But yeah, running ads that are tied to a bigger goal than just listening to a song. I've talked to a few other record label people and some of my clients and go, does it make sense to run ads just to get streams? Because like if I do like the best Facebook ad, Instagram ad of my life, I'm lucky to get like 2 to 3 cents per click. Well, guess what? You're not making that 2 to 3 cents back if they go click and listen to that song. They're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
listen to that whole album probably 10 times to pay back, right? Like we just know the economy of it. And
Right.
so I've kind of pushed back going, does this make sense? Now it does make sense if it's part of a bigger plan of like you just need to get streaming numbers up so that you're going to go to radio and you can say, hey, we got all these streams, or you're trying to get on a playlist and you want to like make some waves here. So if it's part of a bigger marketing plan for your music, then sure. But you're going to just know running ads just to get streams, you're going to lose money. So now you're playing the long game. Like, let's say maybe you're going to do a 5 city tour. Like maybe you want to target people in those 5 cities with it, knowing that, yeah, you're not making money on the streaming royalties on that, but you can also follow them up with hey, I'm going to be in town this month, next month, buy a ticket. And then it made sense.
That's great. Okay. So for the already full time artist, the signed artist,
Mhm.
what should they make sure is happening regarding their audience growth strategy, even if their managers and their labels aren't already doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go back to the first thing I said is what are you doing to get your Facebook audience into your email list, into your text messaging list, and just, keeping track of that. With the clients that I'm working with right now, like our goal this year is trying to grow that owned audience that you have. So everything you can be doing organically, driving people back to, hey, we're going to release a new clip from music video or preview the new song, make sure you sign up for my texting list, make sure you sign up for my email. Same thing with ads, running ads to try and grow that. I can't hit on that enough because I just truly believe in that. And this is not unique to the music industry. This is
Mm-hmm.
generally across the board marketing. A year ago, remember the threat of TikTok being closed down in America? Like
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you had spent all this time just all you cared about was followers, followers, followers on TikTok. And then it got shut down for 24, 48 hours. You were freaking out going, I can't reach those people ever again. Well, just remind yourself of that consistently. Like, yeah, it's great to get more followers and likes. Like, I equate social media is like you're going to the local farmers market or the state fair. You're going there to the public forum and like, hey, check out my music, and you get a few people. You're being part of the conversation, but you're not going to be able to reach them again unless you've got their email or text message.
That's great. And it's okay if you can't think of it off the top of your head, but
Yeah.
is there one or two or three actual platforms or resources for the text messaging piece,
Yeah.
like a service you can think of that you could just mention for those that are just thinking,
Yeah.
man, I need to get into that?
Yeah. So MailChimp has recently, within the last year, added text message marketing. MailChimp is a really popular email marketing software. So they've got one. My favorite is Community. Community, it's expensive. So it is pricey, but they've got really, really powerful tools. And there's one that I've been using for new artists. And so far we like it. Let me look it up here. It is Laylo, Laylo. Verdict's out. Like I'm not giving a full endorsement because I'm not sure. Like, there is ways to get their location and their zip code, but if you don't have location and zip code, the worst case is going to be you grow this big text messaging list and then you want to do a tour and you send a blast out to your entire database. 75% of them are like, that's not even coming to my city, versus you send it out to people who are specifically in that city. So text messaging, you got to be really careful what you send. If it's not relevant, you're going to lose people.
Hey, so we said we'd circle back to this. Last question. What are your thoughts on AI and how is it affecting artists?
Well, I'm currently working on a video for my own YouTube channel about this, specifically about Christian music and AI. We've all seen the clips of Forrest Frank saying AI doesn't have the Holy Spirit, and then you've got 100% AI artists being created. I'll just go to my personal philosophy right now of AI. Again, I'm the digital marketing guy. I love trying this stuff. I have a blast with it. I'm making AI slop and sending it to friends. I'm hopefully not posting too much of it to social media because I think it's just not good. But I'll use it for like football trash talking and stuff like that. Like it's really fun. But from a professional perspective, when I look at AI, I want to make sure that AI is it's helping me do better work. It's not shortcuts. I heard a great analogy recently. I did a little YouTube meetup here in the Middle Tennessee area. We had 10 to 15 YouTubers come, and someone was sharing how he looks at AI as like Tony Stark putting on the Iron Man suit. It enhances what you already do, but you're still in control. You're still doing it. You're just using AI to be able to make you better at what you're doing. The line is different for everybody. But I think as Christian content creators, Christian musicians, we need to be having this conversation frequently. Where is it right to use it and where is it like, no, we're not going to let it. But again, there's a lot of gray area in this. I mean, a year ago, someone would be writing a song and they need another word, that they're looking for the right word. So they open up Google and they find a thesaurus and, they find words. Well, now if they're opening up ChatGPT or Google Gemini to do the same thing, that's one thing. But are you doing it to be better at your craft or just to cut corners and be lazy? And I
It's a
think
great
that's
distinction.
my metric of how I'm applying it to my life. AI is not going away, so it's here to stay. My answer is probably going to change a couple weeks from now, based on new information and new stories that I hear. And I do think we're going to have almost like parallel universes of like AI free content because people are going to just say, I don't want it at all. And then we're going to say, yeah, now we're going to have another place where you consume all you want. I mean, it's interesting. Like the next generation is got some really strong emotions towards it. I mean, even my kids, they'll see something, it's not even AI, but if it remotely looks like AI, they just discredit it.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in the added layer of this content, this music is to enhance your faith. This is meaningful to us. We really want this to come from another soul. We want this to come from another human being. But again, there's gray area of where are we using it? I mean, you could argue like I interviewed Ainsley Grosser. He's a mixer here in town. He's saying, 20, 30 years ago, like MIDI, like the idea of MIDI, like that's artificial. Like that is not an actual trumpet playing or an actual choir playing. You can program all the sounds and whatnot. So yeah, I'm really hesitant when someone does a blanket statement. don't do AI or do AI without guardrails. Like, what's that middle ground? And you got to listen to the Holy Spirit in your own life. You're going to know when you feel like this is not right. But it is concerning that anyone can just jump in without a gatekeeper, create something, and we have no idea where it came from.
Right. Yeah, I've had to process this very seriously as a producer. You know, folks are investing in their music and they're investing in me because they want me directly involved.
Hmm.
And there's sort of like this spoken or unspoken agreement or promise that we want Sam to do what Sam does and just put any name, any producer in the blank there. We want
Yep.
so and so to do what they do. And so I've had to kind of just come to my own conclusion. I mean, I've used very light features of AI that almost feel more like a plugin, like it's
Hmm.
more of an effect sort of thing. But I've made a commitment to myself. I'm not going to be one of those guys that, build it all in AI and stem it out
Yeah.
and then put that into the song and generated. It's generated content.
Hmm.
I mean, if it's a shaker or a tambourine, no one's going to care. But, there is definitely a line there somewhere. And for me, I'd rather just play it safe. And plus, I'm a fan. I mean, I started in the 90s when it was all analog and live
Hmm.
players. I still
we're
value
we're
that,
missing out
you
on the
know?
joy of creating. And I think
Mm,
that's something we need to think about too is like this is a gift from God to have creativity. And if we're just going to farm it out to AI, like why are you doing it? You know, like what are your motivations? Is this just to try and make a quick buck or are you doing this because you feel called to it and you enjoy it? Like I'll go back to like YouTube world. Like, so I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel right now. And I quickly realized that, yeah, I could ask AI to come up with thumbnails and titles and scripts and all this stuff. And it'd do a good job. It would be vanilla, but it would do it. And it would save me a lot of time. But what I've made a personal commitment is I'm going to first use what's in Matt's brain. Like, what do I think would be good for this video? What are the good questions I should ask my guests? What would be good titles that are going to get people's attention so they'll click on the video? And after I've done that work, like treating my mind like a muscle and like I don't want it to atrophy. Like if I start with AI,
right,
I'm gonna get dumber. And there's research coming out of like Harvard and MIT, like the more you
right.
use ChatGPT, you're losing your critical discernment, your critical thinking and discernment. And so I'll still use AI, but I want to do the work first. And then I go to AI and then see, did I miss it? Then I treat it like a brainstorming partner. Like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm going to do. What am I missing? And then it'll send back some stuff. A lot of it is crap, but there's always like that one or two ideas, that new angle. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. And then I make it my own.
Man, I'm probably wrong, but this is my prediction. We are going to become really, really, really hungry for
Mm,
just organic human interaction.
yeah.
And I think that's going to apply to music.
Yeah.
It's
I
already
hope it
there.
does.
I mean, we see it. It's already there. Everything's becoming a lot more
Yeah.
live, tracking live bands again.
Hmm.
And I, for one, am pretty stoked about it.
Well, and that's a great thing. Going back to the social media conversation, remember, like, if it's not perfectly lit, it's not perfectly framed up, like, there is a place for that. Just you're going on your morning walk and talking. And again, as Christian creators, people care more about what God's speaking through you than is it all polished and look good. Like, I would make an argument, and I've done some testing with some of the digital ads that I do. The ads that are super polished don't do as good as the ones that are more stripped down
Mm.
because as a society, we've got a really good BS meter and we know when we're being marketed to. So, and even it comes back the buzzword is authenticity and you can try and hack and make it feel like it's authentic. Don't do that because people can sense that even. So, yeah.
Dude, that's cool. That's a great place to land the plane. How can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I've got a website, mattmunt.com, MUNDT. I'm really passionate about 2 YouTube channels that I'm growing right well, 3. One for my son, it's called Kid Intern, and it's a little humbling when your son's channel does better than yours. Like, we did a video recently with a firefighter, and it's, like, up to 2,000 views, but I also have another channel called The Salty Christians, and just interviewing interesting Christians being salt and light in different contexts. And then lastly, a YouTube channel called GodMade, and I think your audience would really like it. Me and 2 other guys who love YouTube and trying to help Christian creators grow on YouTube. We have these kind of conversations of everything from clickbait to how do you be authentic, how do you monetize, and really just kind of trying to be a resource for they call it the creator economy. So, and we're really kind of focused in on the podcasting YouTube space, but all these questions that we need to wrestle with if we're going to call ourselves a Christian content creator, like there's different standards. and we need to be excellent. And so yeah, God made Pod on YouTube has been another fun project I'm working on.
That's awesome. And we'll make sure to include all these things in the show notes. Matt, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, I loved it.
Awesome.